So let me ask this question of the professor tonight, who's also an economist, Mr. Deepanshu Mohan. Mr. Deepanshu Mohan, it's a fundamental question. What options do we have that Modi hasn't exercised? We have already, to some extent, been buying more American oil. You know this. I'm not saying that we have in any way tamped down on our purchases of Russian oil. I'm just saying that we've also begun, and not today, not yesterday, but about 7-8 months ago. We've increased the component of American oil. We made concessions on Bourbon and some other sensitive issues which matter to Trump's political constituency. You also know the numbers, and I think I can once again labor over them, but you know that our average, simple average tariff tax is only 16%, which is less than that of Turkey. In fact, Bangladesh is in the same vicinity, 14, and Argentina about 13.4%. You know these facts. I don't have to tell you these facts. So, I mean, what more could we have done except to become a doormat for Mr. Trump?
Yeah, so thank you, first of all, for having me here. Well, it's the age of realignment, recalibration, and also reimagination. And as few of you have already pointed out, I think not responding to Trump in his own aggressive posturing of weaponizing tariffs or even not retaliating is a wise move on India's part. It has tried in good faith to negotiate as much as it could in the first round of trade. My submission is on two critical points, because that's the ground in which the latest tariffs have come in. The penalty that has been imposed most recently is done as a function of the frustration Trump has of his own inability to get the Russian-Ukraine situation sorted. There was no point in the last week or before that he's talking about India buying Russian oil. In fact, there was all talks about India and US having a deal. So all of this coming and suddenly is a bit of a catch-22 situation. So I don't think India should sort of read too much into that, while trying, of course, at its own level to diversify oil purchases, which I think the refiners are already doing. They're buying more crude from Middle East, West Africa, Azerbaijan, Guyana. I mean, there are a lot of diversity in suppliers for that regard. The other key question, because the Russian question is a very important
so that's a good thing, right? That we are diversifying our source of procuring oil.
So I'm with.
So you're already seeing that the government is being proactive, viewers. And Professor Muni says we're not doing enough. We're weak. We're in bed with the Russians.
I just want to complete the point, which is, so on oil, we're fine. I think on trade, I must say that there is another offering. There's this 21 day window. We should definitely try one more go at our ability to get some kind of a trade partnership.
Dr. Muni, do you hear this? Professor Muni, do you hear this?
Saying, my friend, we've not understood you.
I will
keep yourself succinct.
in one word. US has classified India as
That's not one word. Say it in one word.
For steel and aluminium under Section 232, if you have read.
I haven't read.
So it is another sanction.
Use one word.
What I
Okay.
Use one word.
So hang on. Let me get in Nalin Kohli. Nalin Kohli, it appears from the logic that is being put forth by the professor that India has not been proactive, that we have not turned the screws hard enough on Trump. And there are some people who, for example, and I made some notes, they said, let's tighten regulatory screws on US tech giants by invoking antitrust laws and launch deeper Competition Commission of India investigations into Google's dominance in Android. That'll really hurt America. It'll hurt its companies. Let's bring in data privacy legislation that can be enforced more stringently on American firms, increasing their compliance costs in India. That will really hurt them, hit the entire trade and completely push America on the back foot. Revisit data localizing norms to increase their operational overheads has also weakened Silicon Valley's global data leverage. Increase digital service tax from 2% equalization levy on digital companies earning from Indian users. And there are several other things that are being proposed to hit them where it hurts, because we are not taking into account the amount of money America is making through its tech giants. So hit them there. Why isn't Modi doing that? Can you answer that question?
Let me give you my perspective and give me a few minutes. I've heard several perspectives on this show. Even I've been around a long time in the party, so I've seen a few things that have happened in the past, and that will show how India has weathered previous storms. When we tested at Pokhran, the US, then had declared sanctions against India. We survived. We didn't ask them to lift the sanctions. They lifted it on its own, because they found out and learnt that in economic terms, it wasn't hurting us. It hurt them. Then came COVID. In COVID, everyone said it's a mega crisis. It was the pandemic. But under Prime Minister Modi, we've not just weathered it well. We've shown the way, and we've become a stronger economy. We are one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So definitely Prime Minister Modi is not clueless, as Professor Muni says. In fact, if anyone is clueless, it is perhaps that advice he should give to Rahul Gandhi, who one day accepts what President Trump is saying and says, yes, we are a dead economy. And another day says, what are you doing, Prime Minister Modi? So either they are clueless or they don't know what they are saying. Let's come back to the merits of this case. And let's look at it very dispassionately. Any negotiation, and certainly not of the scale that we are talking about, is not based on emotions and knee-jerk reactions. It's based on what our national priorities, interests are, and how much there would be a give and take, because it all comes down to trade, which is money. So essentially, it's an economic reason that drives it. This is not charity, in which you say, I'm opening my agricultural sector because I feel good about it. It's about protecting your agricultural sector, and that's what Prime Minister Modi today said. In such a situation, we have to understand that there are mutual interests that have to be there. Now, President Trump, perhaps as part of his negotiation strategy, likes to launch these tariffs, but there is a window of 21 days also, as the other professor did point out. Let us see what happens. India, under Prime Minister Modi, has shown that its position is we draw red lines and we stand by them. We've shown that with Pakistan, that terrorism and talks can't go, incidents, blood and water can't flow together, and now in the last case, Prime Minister Modi's government has sent a message, you do a terrorism or a terrorist act as an act of war, we will retaliate. Like that.
And trade and threats can't go. And trade and threats can't go, coercion can't go. Okay, so let me. Okay, that's a principle stand.
I think the point
Abhijit
is
Iyer
let's
Mitra,
just wait and see how it opens up.
I'll come to you, Deepanshu Mohan. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, let me ask you, can the opposition that is so concerned with the national interest therefore explain why it was so keen on accepting Trump's verdict on the Indian economy? I can't understand this.
Well, Rahul, the problem is I don't understand anything the opposition does these days, because it seems to be stuck in, well, let's not get there, but they basically going at cross purposes. I don't think even they know what they're up to right now. Classic example being some of the points made on this particular show. Let me deal with it one by one. Why didn't we use our allies? Tell me who stood by the EU when Trump went after them? Did any of the EU's stand by them? Did Japan is a treaty ally of America? Today, Japan has had, 36% imposed, 36 or 39% imposed on it. What happened to them? The Swiss president was in DC for the last 3 days begging Today, he had to beat a retreat and go back to Switzerland and had 36% imposed on him. This is the issue out here. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do, this man is going to do something to you. Today was our turn. There is nothing you can do to stop it. Now, if you crawl, it becomes Munich. It becomes appeasement. Because what happens is, if you throw crumbs at a bully, they come at you with double the force the next time around. Because as we know with him, there is nothing. Tell me one country called Pakistan, which has crawled in front of Trump more than anybody else. They've had a 19% tariff placed on them, and their only manufactured goods are footballs and sex toys. Can you imagine imposing a 19% tariff on sex toys? That is what he has done. So you can even gidgidify in front of Trump, kuch nahi hone wala hai. Next, there was this thing flashing on your screen right now about, they're helping kill Ukrainians. Do you know, under Annex 2, I'm going to read out this short part from Annex 2 to Executive Order 14257, under which he's imposed tariffs. Section C. The ad valorem duty imposed in Section 2 of this order shall not apply to articles that are set forth in Annex 2 to Executive Order 14257, regulating imports with reciprocal tariff to rectify trade practices that contribute to large and persistent annual US goods trade as amended. Which means if we buy Russian oil, process it and sell it to America, it is not tariffed. So America has created in this own executive order an exclusion for Russian oil itself. So much for being concerned about killing Ukrainians. I don't think enough people are pointing this out. Fourth, what is Trump doing? See, the biggest harm this is doing is to the Americans themselves. If I'm selling biryani for 100 rupees and tomorrow, the government imposes 50% tariff on that, I am not reducing my cost or my sale value to 50 rupees. You will end up paying 150 rupees to buy my biryani. So what has he done? First, he is distorting the US market in a very, very dangerous way. And market distortions bite back very hard. People do not like distorted markets. It creates inflationary pressure. Second, all the tax breaks he gave in his big and beautiful budget to his electoral base, he's clawing it all back through these excess tariffs, which the American tax-paying public will have to pay on goods that they are buying. Why is he doing that? Because he could not present a zero deficit budget. In fact, his big, beautiful budget has created such a huge deficit. He is now trying to pay off the US debt, which is 130% of GDP, through inflation. And he needs massive inflation in order to pay it off. Now, it tells you a lot about the IQ of the MAGA crowd that they don't even understand that it's coming out of their pockets, but best of luck to them. Last point, if you'll allow me. Everybody is saying, why did Modi have to go say, Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar? Why did he have to give bear hugs? Listen, there was a time, not too long back, before my time, but we read about it in history books, when, the USA used the USSR against Germany to get rid of Hitler. Then they used China against the USSR to get rid of the USSR. That was Kissinger going to China. Then they want to use us against China. So basically, this is a case of Truman or Roosevelt kare, Kissinger kare, or Clinton kare to chamatkar, Modi kare to balatkar. What kind of logic is this? These people don't understand head or tail. It seems the opposition has forgotten basic economics. They have forgotten basic international diplomacy. They have forgotten the balance of interests and how it plays out.
Well,
that is why I said I am speechless, because I don't know how to come back to such obtuse, compounded, multiple annual interest stupidity like this.